Okay, so I thought to begin at the beginning, how involved were you in the casting process, and how much do I have to thank you for? But do you remember working with Chris? Or?
Yeah, I was involved, not to the extent that I was sitting on auditions, but they were keeping me really fully informed. As you know, we found Rupert and Emma and they were perfect, and that was a done deal, and we still couldn't find you. Will you say how you were found? Well, it was just, it was amazing, really.
It was a bizarre kind of moment. Originally, what had happened was that David Heyman, the producer, knew my dad because my dad had been a literary agent, and my dad had worked with David's mum. And so David sort of asked my dad if I would audition, and the original deal that we'd heard was going to be to do 6 films, and it was going to be done in America, and it was all sort of,
It was going to be done in America. No one ever told me that.
Well, obviously, maybe that's why it changed, because you probably put your foot down at some point, or they just went, Joe won't agree to that.
They know me quite well.
Which was good, to be honest. That would not have been good. But I'm not somebody who particularly believes in fate and destiny and all those things, but my parents do. And so the final straw was the fact that I went to the theatre to see a production of Stones in His Pockets, and David Heyman and Steve Clovis, who adapted all but one of the books, happened to be sitting in the row in front.
You believe it?
And I was sat there for the whole time thinking, why is that man keep
staring
looking
at me?
This
is very creepy.
It was very creepy.
I need to phone someone.
It was very odd. And I remember at the interval, my mum and my dad both looking kind of quite intense about something. But you know, when as a kid you're aware that you're being purposely kept out of the loop, for your own good kind of thing. And I remember we went up the stairs and out of the theatre, and then sort of hid behind a pillar. I seem to remember that it's some absurd notion that David Heyman and Steve Clovis were going to chase after us, grab us.
And make you be a child actor.
And then there was some debate as to whether we would go back in for the second half, but I was really enjoying the play. Yeah, and so we went back in, and then the next day my mum and dad sort of went, oh, well, maybe it is the gods sort of trying to tell us something,
But there were a lot of strange coincidences. And then they called me and said, we think we found him. And then the first time I ever saw you was on screen in my sitting room at home. Because they sent me a video of you. And the curious thing is, and I'm like you, I don't believe in fate and destiny.
Which is interesting, because it comes up so much in the book.
Absolutely. I think you make your own.
Yeah.
But so I saw you on that audition tape, and it was, I don't think I've ever really told you that I found incredibly moving.
Oh, thank you.
And almost, it was incredibly moving. At that point, I didn't have a son.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, and I phoned David up, and I said, he's great, he's fantastic. And I did say to David, it was like watching my son on screen. Because after all, Harry feels like this ghostly son that I've had in my life.